Okay, now we have understood how TestNG works and how Selenium works. So we have got some fair idea of that. Now I'm going to mix these two things up and we're going to see how we can test a UI and at the same time we can record that result as part of a test case. Like we'll have certain TestNG annotations, we'll have a Selenium, we have a Java method which is called a test, or at the rate test annotation is going to be present over there. Then we're going to call that method as a test method or a test case, and within that method we're going to write the Selenium logic, not just plain Java logic. It's going to be something of Selenium. So for that we will have two dependencies which we need to download from internet into our Maven project. So first of all, I'm going to create a Maven project, right click, new, and I'm going to call it a Maven project. New Maven project. Fine. In this Maven project, I'm going to skip everything and let's give it the name as com.example.maven com.example.testng Selenium demo, and the artifact ID is TestNG Selenium Example. Fine. Now we have the project created, TestNG Selenium Example. You can see it's a Maven and a Java project. Both the icons are present. Okay. First of all, I need to go to the pom.xml and enter the dependency information of TestNG as well as Selenium. So over here we don't have any dependency. So I'm going to create a dependencies, plural dependencies tag. Within that we can have multiple dependencies. Okay, so first of all I'm going to copy the TestNG dependency. Let's copy and paste it over here. Fine. This is the TestNG annotation. For TestNG annotations and all, we're going to have this dependency. Similarly, I'm going to have one more dependency that's called as the Selenium dependency. Fine. So to find the Selenium dependency, I'll go to Google and I'll search for Selenium Maven dependency. Fine. And let's copy the dependency information. And this is the latest version. Let's copy this and let's paste it over here. Fine. And here we have the dependency for Selenium, and we're going to add the dependency for TestNG. Now it's fine. Now we have both the things. We have the Selenium so that we can create a new Firefox driver, we can find the element, we can use the click method, we'll navigate to a URL, we can do all those things. That's going to be received, that's going to be done with the help of this library, that is the Selenium Java library. And we can call our methods a test method. We'll have a test case pass or test case fail, all those things with the help of this TestNG dependency. Fine. So let's save this code and okay, format it and let's save this code. Now once I save this code, it's going to download these jars and make my project ready. So if I go to Maven, I can find both Selenium is present as well as TestNG present over here. So I have both the things. TestNG is here as well as Selenium is here. So fine, now we can start writing our first code. Okay, before that I just want to remind that annotations of TestNG, that is @test for the test method, @before class for the method which is going to be executed only once per the class. Similarly, @after class is going to be executed only once. Difference is this is going to be executed after execution of all test cases, and before class is going to be executed before execution of all the test cases. And before executing every method, every test method, if I want something to be executed, I can have a before method, and after execution of every method I can have a after test
It's 11 o'clock.
Fine. So let's write our first code. So we're going to go to source/test/java and we're going to create our first Java class. So fine. So this is the class. Let's give it a com.example.testng Selenium example, and we are going to call it as example 1. Perfect. Now the example is ready. Okay, in this example, okay,
Sir, there is one problem, that is, what is the difference between source main Java and source test Java?
yeah, that's a great question. I'll answer you. See, whenever we develop any application, okay, we write the business logic or the logic that belongs to the application. Okay, that logic which creates the application of. So we'll have the logic to add the values, to subtract the values. We'll have the application logic to make the payment or the cart possible. So these are all functional part of the application. Whenever we deal with those things, we go with source slash main slash Java if that application is written in Java. But if I want to test a functionality, okay, if I want to test the add functionality, I should write those code in the test source test slash Java directory. Okay, so that Maven can differentiate between this, because Maven is going to understand whatever I'm going to write within source main Java is not a test case, it's the business logic, and whatever I'm going to write within this source test slash Java, it's going to have some logic to test something. So Maven will automatically take these information, these classes which are present within source test Java as part of a test case. Maven is going to tell TestNG to test these things. Maven is never going to tell source main Java classes to be tested. Understood?
Okay, sir.
Fine. So now we have the class ready, in which I'm going to have a method public void test1. So for example, so the method name is test1. So I'm going to call this method a test case. So I'm going to give the @test annotation, and always remember this is going to be imported from org.testng.annotations. Fine. Now this is a method which I have. The next thing that I want is, suppose let's create two such methods. Now I have two test cases, test1 and test2. Fine. What am I going to do now is I'm going to put the logic to check a certain functionality within a website. Fine. But all the time when I'm testing the website, I'll have a browser open, right? So either I can write it this way, that is WebDriver driver equals to new Firefox driver. This is the way I have to write the code for opening up a Firefox driver, and I'm going to use this driver dot get. I'm going to navigate to a URL. This is the default one. Similarly, I'm going to write the same code or similar code over here to go to gmail.com. Fine. Now both the test cases have different scenarios to test. In Google, I may be having a scenario to test the search functionality. In Gmail, I may be having the scenario to test the login functionality. Now both the cases, they vary. So over here I'm going to write the login functionality check, and I'll have a way, I'll write certain code to check which functionality, search functionality check. Now both the business logics vary, but the problem that we have is both the time we're creating the same Firefox driver, right? So we may not be wanting, we may not want to have this driver created two times. So let's remove this and let's make the scope a little bigger. Let's make it private, and let's have the scope which is going to be accessible within the entire class. Now I can have access to this one, but the thing is that this driver is created only once. We don't need to create the driver two times. We can have just one Firefox browser open, and within that browser we can test the Google search functionality and the Gmail login functionality and whatever many functionalities we want. So this is something which is needed or which needs to be created only once. So whenever we have such a scenario where we need to create certain object only once for the entire class, then we should go with the annotation before class. And let's put it into a method public void setup. So for example, any name we can give, and this is a private value, and I'm going to create the driver not instantly. Rather than that, I'm going to create the driver when the before class method is called. So over here, how the execution will flow, it will try to execute the @test annotation, but before that it will first call this method. This is going to be called only once, and it will check the driver object is created. It will make sure the driver object is created, then it will execute the test method, that is test1, check the login functionality, search functionality, then it will go to it'll go and test the test2, that is the login functionality of Gmail. But we'll have just one Firefox driver created, and it's going to reuse that. So now we have the web driver and we have the Firefox window open. And if you remember, every time we create a Firefox driver, we need to initialize certain system properties, right? So system dot set property, uh, set property. We're going to give the key value for the Gecko driver so that Firefox can open. So it's called as webdriver.gecko.driver, and we're going to give the name of the file. This is the file which needs to be present in the class path. So now I have set the property for Gecko driver, and I've
Sir,
created the Firefox driver. Yes.
sir, you are not using geekodriver.exe.
Because this is a Linux system or a Macintosh system where exe files don't work, and we don't have any extension on Mac systems. It's not mandatory, okay? Because the file which I downloaded from internet for Gecko driver, if I download it for Windows, it's going to have an extension .exe. But if I'm downloading for Mac, it doesn't have exe or any extension. So let's copy that file from one of our old examples. I'll have the Gecko driver over here. So I'm going to copy, okay, not over here. So okay, I need to find out the Gecko driver. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste that into TestNG. Okay, seems like it's present in the downloads directory. I'll copy and paste it over here.
Sir, is it mandatory to copy paste here?
Not mandatory. I can give the path, but it's better to have that in the same class path.
Okay.
So let's do one thing. Let's copy and paste it into a different directory, and we'll use that location over here. And you can see the location which we have, the path which we have in Windows, it starts with C colon slash
Yes,
some
sir.
or
Yes.
D colon slash. That's different in Linux based OSs. Okay, so I'm going to go to downloads, and I'm going to copy the Gecko driver. This is the Gecko driver which I have. So let's copy it outside into the desktop, and this is the file. So if I want to know where it is, I can go to this file and go to properties in Windows, or I can go to info in Mac. So this is where, so it says the path. So I need to copy this path. So let's copy. This is a little different than Windows, and I'm going to copy this value, and I'm going to paste it into this location. Okay, you can see it is having slash user slash name of the user, then desktop, and it has the file without any extension, right? That's fine. So one more thing I need to check, I need to see if this file is having the permission to be executed, because Java is trying to execute it. So it is having my own user which is going to read and write. Others cannot write or execute. So I'm going to make it I'm going to give all the permission to this file, and let's click on close. Now this file has all the permission. Right click and go to info. You'll have this file's permission as read and write for all the users, and even who is outside the user or the group. Now I have initialized, I have specified, I have let the system understand where the Gecko driver is. Webdriver.gecko.driver, this is the key, and the value is the path where the Gecko driver is present. Now this thing needs to be done only once before creating the driver. We cannot have these two logic within our test case, right? It just needs to be done only once. Now the driver is ready. The next thing that I want is I want to navigate to a URL in test case 1. Okay, I have done that. Let's save this code. Once test 1 is complete, I don't have any assertions over here. I can have assertions to check if the search is working properly, and I can have a similar assertion after the login functionality. I can have the assertions to check if user is able to log in properly with valid credentials. And I can have one more assertion to check if the user is not able to log in with invalid credentials. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So I'm checking both the scenarios, valid and invalid. Invalid, the user should be in the page of his home page or inbox, but with invalid credentials, the user should be on the same page with some error displayed. So these are the two functionalities. I'm not going to write these logic because this is just for understanding how we can integrate both Selenium and TestNG together in the same class or in the same project. And it's going to give us the report as there are two tests, test 1 and test 2, both have passed. And we are also understanding how this before class is working. And one more thing which we must remember, that after running all the test cases, the browser is still open. So what we need to do, we need to quit the browser. So that is going to be done only once. So we can have after class, perfect, and public void close browser. So we can have a method like this, and we can call if somehow the driver instance is getting null or something, and we are trying to have access to that object, driver dot close. Over here, what is going to happen when I call driver dot close? If the driver reference becomes null somehow, so it's going to throw some null pointer error. For the safe side, we can have an if else, and we're going to check if driver reference is not equals to null, then only try to close the browser. Understood? If somehow some test case somebody has written some wrong code and it has made the driver equals to null, and we may fail over here. So this code is executed only when the driver is not null and all the test cases have been executed. After that, I can give a message sysout done executing tests or Selenium tests. Understood?
Yes, sir.
And we can have a sysout over here also. Browser is ready. Ready? Fine. So now we have the code ready, we have made everything fine. So let's run this code and let's look at the output. Right click, run as TestNG test. Now we need to see the browser getting open, and it should test both my functionalities. Okay, now test 1 is getting executed. It is navigating to Google page. Once it is done, test 1 is complete. Now it is navigating to Gmail page. You can see test 2 is having the logic to check the login functionality, and it has navigated to Gmail. Now both the tests are done. It's going to quit the browser, right?
Right, sir.
Okay. In some of the operating systems, you may not be able to close the browser properly because they have certain functionalities which are not possible to close them directly. So for the safer side, we'll go with the quit functionality that actually kills or that actually quits the driver that we have. So we can call driver.quit. The difference between quit and close is both the methods are somehow similar, but nowadays all the browsers, they don't understand close. If you say close, it's going to close the window that is it's having open, but it will not kill the process. So if you call driver.quit, it will kill the process, it will remove the temporary files which are created. So basically it is a better way, it's better to use the quit method. Okay, so I have used the quit method now, and this window which was not quit, is going to be quit. So you can see in the Firefox window there is this quit Firefox. This is going to happen after that method is executed. So let's run the code again and let's look at the output. Test 1 complete, it's navigating to second URL, that is in test 2, and test 2 is complete. After that browser is quit. Perfect. Now you can see in the TestNG result, now it says that we have two tests, right? We have two tests and both the tests are passed, green, and the first test it took 10 seconds to execute, second one took 6 seconds to execute. Okay, there is no error. If you still want to have more information about the tests that you have executed, we can go into this folder, the source folder, the project that we have run. We can right click and click on refresh. We'll have the test output folder. Within that we can go to index.html and we can look at the output that it has. Right click, open with web browser, it will open in Chrome's browser. So we'll see what is the output. It says total test results is one test suite. We'll understand what is the test suite, how to manage them, and what are the different tests which are available as per TestNG terminology, and what are the different test methods. Now we had two methods and both of them passed. If you want to understand which are the two methods, you can click on show. It's going to give you the name of the class, okay, and the methods that it has test1 and it has test2. If you want to still understand more, you can go to the chronological view. It will tell you the time it took. So let's see the time it took. This is the class name and you can see the setup method, that is the before class method. It has been executed only once. Then the close browser is executed only once and it took 5 seconds, 5566 milliseconds for completion from starting. So this is the 0th millisecond time, and when test 1 got complete it was 5566 milliseconds. When test 2 got complete it was 1566 milliseconds, and this is the time when the close browser was done. Now this is how the report looks like, and yeah, that's fine. Do you have any doubts?